So I was thinking about my life, my long, illustrious life, and sure, my memories are just implants, because I'm Ian, not Leia. But I was thinking about my life, and how different I am from everyone else on the face of planet Earth. And I'm thinking about, first off, I was raised by abusive parents and an abusive worm grandmother. But second off, I was actually raised. And I really think about children today and the way they're brought up. And I know I sound like an old grandpa when I start going on this rant. This rant just reeks of old person, right? But I think I'm more mature than most people. And so I think about the way people have been brought up in this country. And they're brought up by the internet. Basically, Paul Parkey Jr. is a man who said people are being brought up by the internet. In his show, well, it's not his show, in a show he's on called Deep Fat Fried, Flash Fried, people are being brought up by the web, alright? I was raised with magic. People are raised with memes. When I first saw a meme, I thought it was the stupidest thing that I have ever seen in my entire life. And I can see how they can be captivating to people with short attention spans. So, the memes aren't evil. They're just a sign of the digression and the degrading intelligence standard this country has. Like, people used to be smarter. Now, I'm thinking about the 20s, the 1920s. H.P. Lovecraft. This is just one of my pendulums, by the way. H.P. Lovecraft was brought up in the 1920s. Alright? And you're thinking, oh, the 20s, right? Racism, all sorts of ignorant philosophies. Yes, this is very true. But people were fucking educated. They got out, they went to school, and they learned stuff. Because the vocabulary of H.P. Lovecraft exceeds the vocabulary of everyone else I know on the face of planet Earth. Okay? I mean, I saw this guy who was in his 20s who was standing next to a seagull by the Hudson River, and I was there too. I was eating lunch. And he said to the seagull, he screamed, "What the fuck are you screaming for? Shut up!" Because, the seagull was making noise. This is the country we live in. Those rednecks down there, I'm probably going to get assassinated by some crazy southerner for this.
Melvin to the front desk, Melvin.
That's just the intercom. But I'm going to probably get assassinated for saying this, but down in the South, people are really fucking dumb most of the time. And they reproduce. And every time they reproduce, basically the child is not as intelligent as its parents, because you got two dumb people making another dumb person. And then that child grows up, meets another dumb person from their generation, and makes an even dumber kid. And so pretty soon, people in the South are just going to be animals. And they're just going to be like, I want food. And they go to a tree, and they pick like a piece of fruit or something. Maybe an orange if they're lucky. Hint, hint. I mean, when are we going to grow up as a species and say education is the biggest concern of the American people? And all over the world. Because if we were more educated, we wouldn't have half the problems that we have now. Yeah, the climate would be a mess, but with education, we could work on a way to fix it. Look at this. This is a book It's called The Hunger Games. It has pages. I was reading it earlier because it reminded me of my sister Leia. For obvious reasons. Most people just saw the movie. They didn't read the book. Now, let me be fair. There are some people who do actually read books and they are young. Like Harry Potter, The Hunger Games, Percy Jackson, stuff like that. People actually read books, but most of the time, these days, people don't read books. They read their fucking phones. They go on their phones, they go on TikTok, and they say, I'm going to do the same exact dance that every other person on the internet is doing for the slim chance that I could get a little bit of fame. A little bit of fame. The next time you see your kid acting all gangsta and saying, okay, boomer, and quoting memes and acting stupid, you tell them to shut the fuck up. You give them a book, you make them read it, you watch them read it. And I think a big problem in these days is that parents aren't spending enough time with their children. They aren't educating their children verbally. They're not saying, this is how the world works. This is how you pay taxes. This is how you do stuff like this. And if people did that, people would have the street sense to realize just how messed up the world actually is. But no, parents would rather let their young ones be brought up by their fucking phones and the internet and idiots and PewDiePie, not that PewDiePie's stupid, but PewDiePie and I don't know what else people are watching because I don't even pay attention to that stuff. But that's what parents do these days, alright? They don't care. And guess what? How dare you bring a child into this world and then ignore it? How dare you do that? I'm buying a shirt that says, in my defense, I was left unsupervised on Wish. Because that's what happened to me. But I didn't have a phone. I was born in 1996. Back in the 2000s, there weren't any iPhones. So I was raised with Harry Potter. Alright? I was raised with Roald Dahl. Get a fucking life, parents. Educate your children before it's too late.